Okay, so let's go back to the page. Yeah. So it starts the should we read that?
You should know.
Yeah, here we go. So Elimelech Hashem. So the Noam Elimelech, in discussing the pasuk about the Chagim, Mayad Hashem, he says as follows: In Yesh Lahavin Ma Tzaddik Mispala V'Nana B'Tfiloso. We have to understand this concept of a tzaddik davening and being answered what he's davening for. Nira, it would seem kehishtanos, as if there were a change that were being affected. And it is far from our minds that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is considered the only one, the singular one, because everything is Him. He is everywhere, and everywhere is in Him. Me'ashtanos, to change. So as if to say, it seems we'll see how he ties this topic in to the Chagim, because it seems to be like, yes, we have more tefillah during the Chagim, but what do Chagim have to do with the concept of davening, and particularly what do they have to do with the concept of change being affected? Maybe kind of a bit of a spoiler alert. Change we understand because really they kind of very much focused on seasons, Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot. But anyway, so what he's asking is, it seems very much a question of that there is a constant. Hashem has a plan, and the tzaddik comes along and changes the plan by davening. Or we come along, we daven, and we change the plan. Which
When he says tzaddik, is he talking about?
Yeah. So for me, one of the difficulties that I had when I kept reading tzaddik.
Did you want a coffee?
I'm okay, thank you.
Nothing.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm okay in the meantime.
Okay. Have you started already?
I have. So just to recap, the Noam Elimelech is talking about the Chagim, and he's saying it seems a bit strange or very heretical to think that a tzaddik, when he says tzaddik, the question is who he's referring to. But I always understand that tzaddik is the yid who's trying to do the right thing. He's already a tzaddik, right? He's already going on the right path. So in this case, he's talking about a tzaddik who's davening, and it looks like Hashem has a plan, and this fellow comes along, he davens, and Hashem changes the plan. And that seems to be very much against what we know about Hashem, because Hashem, he has a grand plan, and it's not like, Hashem's got out plan A, but fine, we'll go with plan B. We'll listen to you, we'll go with plan B. How does it make sense? Mm-hmm. So I once had an interesting conversation with my father because I was learning Chobos HaTalmidim from Rabbeinu Bechaye, and Shah HaBitachon, he discusses the concept of what does it really mean to trust someone. Trust Hashem, but first to understand on a human level, what does it mean that I trust someone? And he goes through that even as much as you will trust a human being, your level of trust will be much higher in Hashem. And he goes through 7 differences. And one of the things he says is that you trust in Hashem, that Hashem knows what's best for you, even more than you know what is best for yourself. That's considered proper bitachon. Right. To understand that even though I might think that the best thing for me is A, I know that Hashem, whatever the plan is, Hashem knows better. So I said to my dad, it seems very antithetical to davening in the first place, because if I really have bitachon, I wouldn't go and daven. I mean, aren't I ruining it for myself or wasting my time? I mean, if it is that davening to Hashem will mean that Hashem is going to change the course of history for me, and that won't be a good thing because Hashem's got a better plan, then I should just keep my mouth shut. And I think this is an age-old question. I don't think I'm the first one to think of it. But he said to me something that's very powerful. He said to me, my mother told me, he said, and she probably heard it from her father, he told me. My great-grandfather was a great man in Antwerp. He was known as Reb Shalom Sheikhet, Reb Shalom Lerner. He set the halachas v'shchita for the Kehillah have now in Antwerp, well, on the basis of what he had taken over from Poland. But so my father said to me, don't give Hashem any ideas. Hashem doesn't need your ideas. Hashem doesn't need you to tell him, maybe you do this for me, maybe you do that for me. What you can do, obviously you're human, and you have a certain predicament or something that needs help, and you daven to Hashem. So look, you say, Hashem, I don't know if this is what I need, but help me in the best way I need. I think this is the way. I don't know. I trust you, whatever way it is to get me out of it. Sincerely mean it. And Hashem will pick the right option. Maybe it might be what you're suggesting. Hashem wants you to turn to him. He wants the relationship that you have with him. And part of his plan is when this Yachid here reaches out to me, that is when the right time will be to effect this change. Because without that, it won't, in a certain sense, achieve the desired result. The desired result is Hashem wants to have a connection with us. He had this yearning for living kind of amongst us, being with us. And how is he with us? When we are with him. How are we with him? When we connect to him with davening, when we really, search into the deepest recesses of our heart and connect. And then Hashem and us are one. We have that. We're now connected. So if Hashem were to kaviyachol change, I say change, but bring the next stage on, let's put it that way. So Hashem has a plan, and the plan is staying in the plan. But this stage can only happen when I am tuned in, when I'm connected.
But they say a person has free will, so obviously there is always an option for things to change.
Correct.
So if you don't do nothing, maybe you will be led on the wrong path. Whereas if you do the right thing and you pray like he wants you to and do everything and study to
Right.
then you will take the path that is the good. Because there are two ways you can go.
Correct.
You can become evil.
Correct.
2 seconds, you can become a terrible person, right?
Yeah. So
it's not like there is a definite plan that is not going to be changed.
no, there is no definite plan, but there is. Think of it like a marker, like the marker in the route of say things will continue like this until they go that, but things will only go this way, moving to where they need to go to when you affect the right change.
Yeah.
Only when you're in the right place.
Correct.
Until then, things will just continue.
But you do need to pray because you want
Exactly.
to pray 3 times a day or whatever.
Yeah.
You need to do so, like he says, if you don't go in my ways, then I'll spew you out the land or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously
Correct.
he wants you to do the right thing, but if you don't, then you're going to suffer.
You make your reality. You make your reality what it
you
is.
Create your reality.
Yeah, only you are responsible. Yaakov Baruch Hu has, all the goodness in the world waiting for you until the point that you believe that you deserve it, not deserve it because you've done something for it, because we haven't done anything to come into this world. We weren't asked to come into the world. In fact, the Mishnah tells us that we were created against our will. So we're not here by choice.
We're here to do a tikkun.
We're here to do a tikkun. And so Hashem is ready, willing, and able to give us everything we need to achieve that.
So basically, when you come into the world and you realize at an old enough age, everybody at a different age, that obviously there's a reason why you're here, there's a purpose to do a tikkun. You need to find out what the tikkun is and try and do it.
Correct.
So that's what it's all about, basically.
And it's very interesting you mentioned that because now something sits very beautifully, an idea. At the end of Shemona Esrei, before the last so before the second one, there's a part where people say the verse that corresponds to their name.
Right.
So usually it's got to do with the first letter of the name, and the last letter of the name is usually the first letter of the pasuk, and then the last letter of the pasuk, or however it works out. And so I can't remember who taught me this, but I was told that the reason why we say these pasukim is because after a person passes from this world and passes on to the next, they will ask him, "What's your name?" And it seems that many people will forget. But if you say this pasuk, you won't forget.
Right.
And I thought to myself, well, what does it mean you forget your name? And why does saying the pasuk help? It's a bit like if you forget your name because you weren't true to yourself or whatever, what does this pasuk help you? And so my understanding has become that this pasuk contains a message to who you are supposed to be. There's a message in there as to the essence of who you are. How you play this essence is up to you. So I'll just say about myself. My pasuk is Yatziyam Menchoshech v'Samalves, take them out from darkness and from the valley of death, for the shadow of death. And open up their bounds. And so what does that mean for me? To know, it can mean many things. It can mean taking myself out of dark places. It can mean trying to take other people out of dark places, shining a light to them. there's 101 different interpretations. It's up to me to decide how I take that out. But once I have this pasuk, I'm already halfway there because I kind of know more or less what I'm supposed to do. In each situation, it may be different, and so that's why people say the pasuk, because so that when you come at the end of your life, they will ask you your name. You will know your name because you've lived true to your mission. You've said it and you've internalized it. Just saying it isn't enough. The idea is to take the message out of it, and that's why I'm saying it's beautiful that you mentioned and you said that the idea is that the tikkun in our mission, what we're supposed to do, because the tefillin itself is connecting with Hashem. Why am I connecting with Hashem? Because I want to keep on doing what I'm supposed to do, but I need Hashem's help to complete my mission. So with that introduction, we're going to continue. So the question that Elimelech asked, this idea of davening seems to be very contradictory to our understanding of Hashem as the individual. There's more copies there. As the individual who's got a plan, and that Hashem doesn't change. Hashem is Haya, Haiber, V'yiyeh. He is at all points in time. He is the same. He remains unchanged. So he says but by the asterisk. Ha'inyan hukach. The idea is as follows. So I'm just make sure no one's waiting in the waiting.
Yeah.
The idea is as follows. When a tzaddik is davening for a certain individual, so somebody comes to him, or he knows of somebody that needs a yeshua, he needs help. He's in a very bad situation. A tzaddik's davening, he literally incorporates every single fiber of his being. He is completely detached of everything else, and his entire self, thoughts, all his fingers, toes, nose, eyes, everything is in the tefillah. It's following this line. Without any foreign thoughts. He is connecting himself with this person, quote unquote, superimposing his own 248 limbs onto the 248 limbs of this other person, which means that he's taking his entire self, leaving all his own baggage behind, his own, not say baggage, but his own identity behind, in order to connect with this person, and in order to raise this person up from where they are, which is true. The tefillah itself is really the idea of chibur, usually connecting ourselves to Hashem. But how amazing is it, saying to Hashem, "Hold on, Hashem, I got to bring someone else along for the ride." So he connects himself with this yid, and this yid may be in a terrible predicament, most likely because of his own doing, because all our troubles and problems are really stuff that we've created that we need to get out of. But somehow he's connecting himself. And he is sanctifying this individual yid who may be doing God knows what. It is for this reason that Tzaddik is answered in his davening. Because why is this person in this situation? It's a punish. We say punishment, but it's a result, a consequence of some bad deed that the person has done. Because of use one of his limbs for certain purposes which were not in line with the Torah, which were not in line with the mitzvahs. And when the tzaddik brings them along on this journey, as nase every adam, the limbs of this man, im every tzaddik, with the limbs of the tzaddik, they become one. They become connected. So the idea what the tzaddik is trying to achieve in this tefillah, and therefore is considered tzaddik, and we learned this if you recall it in Parshas Tazria, the idea of the tzaddik is to be able to connect with the other, is not to live on their own. It's the idea of, as Rabbi Nachman says, lahazer or laichiach, to warn about to caution to do the good thing, and to caution them not to do the bad thing. Each in their own way, each obviously in a pleasant way, in a way that's actually going to be effective. Rabbi Nachman talks about it in the concept of responsibilities towards each other. But the idea of the tzaddik is not alone. They say about the first time in the Torah that we find the word tzaddik.
No,
Achish tzaddik, and in Yiddish they have a term for nach. They call him a tzaddik in pels, which means a tzaddik in fur. i.e., he was a good tzaddik, but he was a tzaddik for himself. Clearly, he didn't manage to influence the people of his generation to do teshuvah and to turn to Hashem, which was probably not what his mission was, because otherwise the rest of the story wouldn't have followed that way. But it seems very much so that the idea of the first tzaddik, which was Noach, was not the true embodiment that we consider to be a tzaddik. Feel free to sit down and join us, please. Was not the true embodiment of a tzaddik. The true embodiment of a tzaddik is a tzaddik connecting himself to somebody else. Now, it's not true. Not everybody can be a tzaddik on their own. Not everybody can shutter themselves up in a room and sit and learn Torah all day and reach great heights. It's not for everyone. In fact, it's for the select few. But not everyone can connect themselves to everybody else. Some people can do something the other, but the true tzaddik can do both. The true tzaddik can achieve great heights, and the true tzaddik can also be conscious of the fact that he can't leave others behind. And therefore, when he's davening, he's not secluding himself in his own world. Because if a tzaddik is secluding himself in his own world and davening for himself, it's what Rebbe Nachman calls an abuse of power. Because you have the power to be able to help other people, and you don't, you'll be held accountable for it. So, it can be something as simple as davening for those in our family. It can extend to those in our community. It can extend to those in the, globally in the whole world. So we're just saying how the tzaddik himself, when he davens, he quote unquote superimposes his 248 limbs on somebody else who needs a Yeshua, and thereby takes this person along the journey and brings the shefa to him. We made a nitzaken ha'adam, and this person receives a tikkun, even though he doesn't really work for it. The tzaddik is mashpia on him a tikkun. The kevon shenitkan ha'chet, and now that the damage of the chet, which chet means to miss the mark, so a person's done something. Obviously, we all have good intentions at heart, but we miss the mark with a chet. Chelef ova ha'enesh ramenu. This punishment is now gone.
We don't all have good intentions. That's not true.
No, we all have good intentions. Some deeper than others. It all comes from if we are okay. What does a chet mean? Translate chet for me.
Sinned.
That's Christian. It's English. It can't be blamed. This is an English word, sin. But that's why things get lost in translation, quite literally. Because chet means missing the mark. If I shoot an arrow and I try and hit bullseye and I miss, that's a chet. Because I've missed it.
Chet is not very shayk.
Chet is not very shayk.
Chet over in
You know what the Targum says the word zonu? And I think last week's parsha, you know what the Targum says? Toyim. Ergo, the words nus, which is the least favorite thing, and even so much so that when Bilam and Balak they couldn't get through to give a klal on Klal Yisrael, they said, "Oh, the God of the Jews, he hates zenus. He hates lewdness, he hates promiscuity. That's how we're going to get to them." But zenus is translated as mistake.
Look, this is
mistake.
a very schwach way of talking.
One second. No.
I've heard this. I'm going to show you something I heard someone else.
One second. You said something. Well, this is Noam Elimelech. This is Chassidish.
MS is not MS.
It is MS.
You can't have half MS.
Who said it's half MS?
You can't say Aveira it's not Aveira. Aveira is a person who knows he's doing an Aveira and he still goes and worries against Hashem.
That's not the same thing. Moira is something else entirely. We're talking about other Aveira. We're talking about Ovain. We're talking about Chet. We're talking about other things.
Aveira for Taiva.
And what's the Taiva? What is the Taiva? What is Taiva? Taiva is I feel a need to fulfill something and I do it the wrong way. That is what Taiva is.
Then you realize you made a mistake.
You made the mistake. That's the point.
Obviously, doing it the wrong way. You're doing it the way that you want to do it, which is wrong.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It is wrong. It is wrong.
Not the wrong way.
It is.
Also
You're trying to achieve a goal. You're trying to achieve something with what you're doing, but you're going about it the wrong way. Hashem says you want to achieve. You're lonely. What do you do when you're lonely? Call up a friend. Other people do other various to make themselves feel better because they're lonely, but they miss the point that your heart is telling yourself, "I'm lonely." Your mind sometimes is a bit of a shaita, and it does the wrong thing to deal with that loneliness, wherever it might be. Maybe it's watching something, playing a game. That's not how you're supposed to translate that feeling, and that is what chet is. Hate is you've missed the mark. In fact,
If you do it once like that, it's fine. If you do it every single time,
yeah, because you keep making the same mistake. You're not doesn't mean you're not responsible. You can be responsible for your own mistakes. Of course, you're responsible for your mistakes. You did it. But how are you going to avoid doing it again? Say that was the wrong thing to do. Okay, so what is the right thing to do?
plenty.
Oh, enochanami. So first you have to understand, why did I do that? What was I feeling when I did that? I was obviously feeling something. We all want to do the Ratzon Hashem. What does it say? What does it say in Makkas? That they give him, that they say Acha Amarotzani? Why? Because deep down Tosfos says this. Hundreds of years before the Baal Shem Tov, before the Hasidic Torahs.
No, I know
Deep
that.
down, every Yid wants to do the Ratzon Hashem. But what can we do? So Shabbat Issa, what does that mean? It means we're blocked from actually seeing what we really want.
Yeah. Someone said to me, I was a Friday night, and he says to me, say it's about Torah. So I told him about Torah. Anyway, I do remember. So it doesn't matter. And he says to me, "Oh, I'll tell you about Torah." And there's a Hasidic thing. And he says, "Nowadays we're all Tinish Nishba." He says, "Because if we realized what our Avera really was, we wouldn't do an Avera. If we realized that the damage of an Avera upstairs,
we can't see that.
But we can't.
But we also can't. You know what else we can't see? The good that the mitzvah does. We also can't see it. We're as blind to one as we are to the other.
Which, yeah.
No?
That is a hard part. That I feel that is a very hard part.
Okay.
Because there's no connection. We all talk about Hasid.
So I want to tell you something.
Connection between here and upstairs.
Oh.
And you do one small thing. The Kabbalah says you take a hair from your beard, then there's the whole Oilamus starts shaking.
What that means is another story. But I want to tell you something which is not. You want to hear something like this, but that's not Hasidic from Reb Chaim of Volozhin. From Reb Chaim of Volozhin.
He's as literature as you get.
Listen to this. When I put on tefillin in the morning, and me, I'm no great person. Somewhere in Australia, on the far-flung side of the world, a Yid has a hero tshuva. His words, not mine. We do not understand or know the impact of every single action that we do. We have no idea.
Right.
Rabbi Nachman calls this the concept of malchus de a certain influence that we have, which is hidden from us. We can't see.
But why can't we see it? Because it makes it so much more difficult.
You would go mad if you would know the consequence of every single action. Your human brain cannot comprehend it. It would explode.
It would be free will. You would do it.
Yeah,
And that's so.
and you would also
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
what you have to do the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
You go crazy. You go crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine you didn't have area, you had a machshava raw, and because of that, someone in Australia was killed.
And you just started the machshava ra. You don't have control of starting the machshava ra. Sometimes it's a reaction. We have to obviously train ourselves to get out of that normal thing.
But sometimes Hashem gives that revelation. We do feel it here.
Yeah, sometimes things are put in Yehuda and Tamar. There are certain things that are beyond our understanding, beyond our grasp. We are only held responsible for our reactions. That's all we can be held responsible
But when
for.
we find out 120, what are our reactions? What are you responsible with?
Well, the full picture will be revealed to us. The idea of L'Osad Lovai, seeing the whole picture, understanding why Kal started to go through this tzara, why us as a Yachid had to go through this particular situation. The whole picture will be revealed, and we'll be laughing, because then we'll really see what it's all about. But we get ahead of ourselves. So coming back, thank you very much. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Coming back to this, he says that the Tzaddik, Baruch Hashem, he said the Tzaddik is connecting himself to this person. Why? Because the duty of the Tzaddik to be mashpia. Just like we said earlier, that I put on tefillin here in this part of the world, and tens of thousands of miles away, a Yid has an idea, has a hero tshuva, thought of tshuva in his head. That is discussed, that I don't even have no control about. But this tzaddik who's conscious, the tzaddik is conscious about those that he's supposed to influence for good. And he knows this guy is stuck. He's stuck in a rut. This year he can't get out. He can't get out of the murk, the mud and the mire of whichever downward spiral of hate that he's in. He needs a boost. He needs someone to throw him a rope. The tzaddik is trying to do that. He's trying through his tefillah to connect himself with this person without any other foreign thoughts. And this is personal because nobody else knows what's in the tzaddik's mind. He's not doing this for glory or anything. He's doing this to help another yid. And then when Mela Nitakin Adam, and this person becomes there's a tikkun for this person, since this chait has now been mesukkan in a certain sense, so a person might not know how to get out of it. But with this tzaddik's help, this person is now having, this clarity because he's now connected to the tzaddik, and this tzaddik is now b'payal, just like the person unwittingly putting on tefillin gives somebody an idea of teshuvah. This tzaddik is consciously connecting to the person to change his thought process, to now change him to the good.
Amazing.
V'zehu, and this is what the words in Tehillim mean. Kolat smoisai, all my bones, Toimarno will say, Mi chamocha b'kelim Hashem. I think that's the rest of the Hashem. Matzel oni mechazik menu, that helps the poor person from the one that's stronger than him. The oni refers to the person that has sinned. The chazik menu refers to the Yetzer Hara that has overpowered him and made him stronger. But when kolat smoisai Toimarno, when all my bones, as the tzaddik is saying, David HaMelech was the embodiment of tefillah and connection to Hashem, all my bones will go towards you, Hashem, will connect to those that need the help, those that are considered to be the poor person and the oppressed by the Yetzer Hara, and take him out. The hinika asher yechta ha'adam, a person will sin. This sin, maybe this sin will not only continue the downward spiral, but introduce new bad thoughts, and his thought process is coming clogged, chalila. It's blocked. He's not able to receive the messages, the divine revelation, every single day. New inspiration comes from Har Sinai to the world. From when Matan Torah was given, every day the Torah is given anew, again. It's why we have the concept of Chedushim. People sometimes come up with thoughts that haven't been written over the past, how many thousands of years have we had the Torah? Over 3,500 years. Almost like we've had the Torah. Nobody thought of this idea.
What?
A certain chiddush. Somebody has a chiddush. You search far and wide, and there have been hundreds and thousands of tzaddikim and Talmidei Chachamim and 24,000 Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva, and whether what they said was written down or not, I don't know. But there have been thousands and thousands of yidden. No, why hasn't it occurred to them? Why not? Because Kol Yom V'Yom, there's this new, to use modern terminology, new waves. There are waves out there, radio waves of machshavas tovas and good shefa for all yidden. But unfortunately, with doing the wrong thing, not knowing where we're supposed to go, we block that, and we basically break our antennas.
Wow.
We can't receive it. And what's the tzaddik doing? The tzaddik becomes the repairman, going on the roof of this yid's house and repairing his antenna. And now he can think straight again, and he can get out from where he finds himself. So it says like this. And now he brings a beautiful. He brought a pasuk from Tehillim. Now he brings a pasuk from the Torah. The nefesh lo yitama ba'amov, referring to the kohen. It says that a kohen is not allowed to make himself tama. That is the pasuk. Perish lo yitama samachshava hi hanefesh. What does it mean lo yitame? He shouldn't be matama himself. His nefesh, the power of his being. Ba'amov hemo avorim, through the limbs which he uses to do his everyday actions. Make sure that you don't use it for the wrong things, because that's going to block the inside. V'zehu kolat smoisai, all my bones. They refer to this pasuk in Tehillim. K'shani mispalel b'machshava zako, when I'm davening with pure thoughts, v'tzilula, and clear, v'chol evorim, and all my limbs, he maskimim imi ba'avoda. They all agree with me. When somebody is davening, why do we have trouble in focusing and davening? Because our mind might be doing one thing, but our limbs are like, hey, this is not where we're at. We've done this, we've done that, we've done the other. And through this, tzaddik,
what do you say when you've done this? Your heart says
becomes blocked. So when you want to daven, you want to. I'm not gonna. I don't have a better way of explaining it in English, so I'm gonna say you want to pretend to be a good person, as in obviously we're all good deep inside, but your thoughts are now not in line with your actions. There's a disconnect. They call in modern psychology cognitive dissonance. Your thoughts are not with where you are really at. So when I'm telling out to daven to Hashem, I want to go there, but my limbs that have not acted in the way that Hashem would want me to are like, we're not going anywhere. we're staying right here. And that's where the tzaddik comes in. The tzaddikim in this dose, which I'm sure there are many, are either consciously or subconsciously helping us out from this.
It's a good point. Because person, if you don't feel like you want to daven, don't daven. It says in the Shulchan Aruch, person when he davens, he has a not kavan, not more than that. He has to be misratzer.
He has to be present. He has to be right there.
It has to be that it's not to Eva.
Oh.
And you know what? Because now my whole life is changing. I'm now going to be self-employed, right? I've been living on a road since I've been born. You get up, you daven. You have to daven because you're going to school or you're going to teach or you got this or that. Suddenly I'm realizing, what happens if you get up and you don't actually feel like davening?
Oh.
Maybe you shouldn't daven. And if your actions don't connect with your heart, then actually what can happen is when you finish davening, you rebel.
Yeah, but you know what I find?
You're filled with resentment.
But what happens
But
often is that you don't feel like it, but as soon as you start, then you're actually glad you're doing it.
Yeah, sometimes
That's what happens
not.
to me often. When I'm so tired and
That's different.
And
That's
then
different.
once you start, you get into it, and then you're happy you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like it's an effort, but then you.
No, but you're saying something else. You're saying when a person can't be bothered to do something, and they want you doing it, you're really enjoying it. That's one thing. But when it's nothing to do with you can't be bothered. You just do not. You feel in a mats of a ruach when you don't feel you're able to connect to the Boyin Shalom. We're talking about that. And you got two choices. I need daven, and you don't have that connection. You wait for Tzaddik to help you. We don't daven. You wait to daven later. And this is what the Hasidim do. What's it called? The kalender at the Rebbe's Shul. They wait till 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock.
Well, on their level, it's another thing. But you do have a responsibility to get yourself in the mood. Get yourself in the mood. Don't feel like it. Okay, what's going to get you to feel like it? What do you need to happen? You have a coffee? Fine. You shouldn't really eat before davening, but do you need to have a little mazonis to daven? Maybe that's what you need. The Hasidim say better to
daven to eat.
Better to think about davening while eating than to think about eating while davening. What I'm saying is, it's up to you to. You can't wait for things to happen. You can't wait for things to happen.
What you're saying. You
got to make it happen. Make it happen. Make it happen. It's like I always tell to my kids, I don't like this. So maybe start it, try it. Maybe you will end up liking it. Oh, this is the best thing ever.
It's like start to come to the show. Try it out.
Oh, Baruch Hashem.
Oh, they'll never know when it's nice. It's good enough.
Fantastic. Yeah. So it takes all to make a chavara.
How do Hasidim make us into the mood? Then you're saying, or the Gedolim? What are you saying?
Sometimes it can be a question of taking your favorite sefer.
Yeah,
or listening to an inspiring shir, and then suddenly, I'm not connected. I had this. I was going through a tough time, and I felt very disconnected. And I was listening, and I actually made up my mind that day. I'll put on tefillin by mincha. Sorry, Hashem, not today.
What?
So I'll put on tefillin by mincha. I'm sorry, maybe I'll daven shachris. Maybe I will. I don't know. That's where I was. That's where my heart was holding. Was Mamash holding that place?
At least you're honest.
And I listened to somebody said the right words for 2-3 minutes and got to these WhatsApp updates. Suddenly I was in the mood. How? What? Where? I don't know.
What did you say?
I can't remember the exact words, but I do remember there was a change. There was a change. He said the exact words I needed to hear. And you think he knew that he was saying the exact words? He didn't. But it's up to us. Can't just sit there and wait for things to happen. You got to make it happen. That's what we're here for. V'zehu. There's a person that needs something, and he's poor in this matter. He doesn't have the tools himself. That's how he gets help. I am davening for this person. And I'm connecting him to me. Just like I said, and that's what it means. Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have time. Adim means that there are seasons and there are times. So what does it mean? These are seasons of Hashem. Hashem doesn't have seasons. Hashem doesn't have time. Hashem is above time. Well, what's Mayadi Hashem? What does that mean? Sometimes but you can find by Hashem you can find the concept, not time in itself, but something which is a mushal for time and a mushal for change. Yesterday there was a bad gezerah, which seems to be bad, and today it's good. So even though in Hashem's plan, it was always part that there's going to be gezerah now and tomorrow is going to be good. For us, it seems certain, but Kalape Hashem, and even though he hasn't changed, it would seem to be that there is a concept of a bad time and a good time. How does this fit in? Where does this come from to go to Hashem? As in, where does this reality come from? When you call them, what does it mean? The Gemara says, Al tikri oisam el. When you call with them, don't call the Yom Tovim, but call with the Yom Tovim. When they are with the other yidden, with a full body, without any foreign thoughts, in their times. What does it mean by in the appointed times and seasons? Or the worlds, which means the sources of influence that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in the world, Nikroim Moed. They are called seasons. So you got maybe Chesed is considered a certain season, Gevurah is considered a certain season. The idea of being that there's a change. Shahim Tachas Azman, that they are limited to time. But Tzaddikim Mispalim Bekavana, and Tzaddikim that daven with intent, Him HaMekaimim Hoylomois, they are the ones that infuse these worlds with Rotzain and energy, Mashpi and Tova, and they bring it down to this world. They bring it down to the people that can't access it. V'chios and life lekol ha'ilamos. And they change the midas adin l'rachamim gemurim to complete rachamim kehemel hamoshlim because they are in control. Tzaddikim are those that are considered to be controlled or what goes on around them, and therefore when they are davening, they are consciously doing something. They are, if they are control of themselves, they can be in control of these higher ideas and these higher influences of energy in the world. The worlds are called chukim. They're considered something which is established. Connected with the season. When you're going to strive to go into the good with good thoughts, in the high worlds, that's when you will access the shefa, that means the tools that you need in this world, and the thoughts that go up from your body is dakech, they will become purified, and they will go up and up. We've got one more minute. And just to bring down that Nachman actually talks about the idea of chiyus that comes to this world. Every single shefa of chiyus in this world, life has wisdom within it. We don't see life as we see life as life, and wisdom is because baby's born doesn't have any wisdom. We don't realize that the baby's wisdom is contained deeper in. He doesn't have the tools to access it. So when we bring down shefa chiyus, the tzaddik davens, he not only brings life into this person, he also brings to him the wisdom, what he needs to get out of the place that he is. To connect the tzaddik.
Why do you build time aggressive to
I try and bring in things that I learned to help me understand.
They're two very different paths.
They may be, but there are certain ideas which might overlap. So if it helps me understand what I'm learning, then I'll bring it in.
Thank you.
See you.